Hello folks, it is Typhoon Carter and I bring to you another DPP SPL OU match. This is a week 3 matchup between Christos of the Circus Maximus Tigers and Laurel of Team Raiders. Christos was swapped in over Malekith after last week's match where Malekith lost a very tightly contested game that looked like it was in the balance until a crit kind of took him out of it. But that being said though, Christos is looking to make his SPL DPP OU debut. Bit of a long time player who's actually been around for a while. Is looking to make a impact in his debut match. Laurel is going into this 1-1 coming off of a tough loss against BKC last week, so he's looking to get himself back on track. That being said though, let's get right into this. Ranzong League, Zapdos lead, and Zong lead and a Nidoqueen, indicating this is some kind of stally team, whereas on Laurel's side looks more like a traditional maybe Paraspam team or like something more like Big 5 with Zapmi, Jira, Titar, and Protect Zong here, indicating maybe it's like Protect Payback, and Christos bringing out the Milotic. And Body Slam first para, that's actually not great for Laurel because Milotic's Marvel Scale means that it is now even more unbreakable. And Milotic with the Toxic on the Zapdos, which is not a great look for Laurel right now. And the Nidoqueen coming out into the Starmie, so Christos is going to have to switch out of that. And Laurel is able to get the spin off, but Ranzong is almost certainly going to get rocks back up. And the Jirachi's back in action. This is looking to be a bit of a grinder, which has not really been the case for any of the other SPL matches so far, at least relatively speaking. And yeah, so Laurel just trying to keep rocks off, has to be wary of a possible payback, so but Christos able to just stealth rock up. And Laurel just opting to fire punch, fishing for burns maybe, but the Milotic's going to make that task pretty difficult to do. A whopping 11%, so Iron Head flinching is not gonna get Christo or Laurel through the day. And again, like, this is going to be a bit of a loop here, and gets the T-Wave off. Again, I'm not sure if that's what Laurel wants. Maybe a burn would have been better. And yeah, there's the payback that I was talking about Christos maybe potentially having, which is a staple on these kind of defensive teams that Christos is running. As for last Pokemons, I expect a Latias in the back because, again, you need another Levitator. I wouldn't be surprised if there was, say, like a Jirachi of his own on Christos' side, but again, like, Christos is chilling right now. Laurel not able to really punch through. I think that first turn Body Slam para was not really doing him any favors, especially because he didn't even know it was coming in. And I think, like, even just looking back, I think Laurel was maybe trying to catch a Jirachi on the switch, but it was a good play by Christos to kind of bring the Milotic in, and now it's just chilling. And if Laurel had like Grass Knot or like even Thunderbolt, yeah, if Laurel had like Thunderbolt, then maybe he could have put some pressure on the Milotic, but he's got to have something. But the issue right now is that the Zapdos is basically on a permanent timer, so it can't really stay out for that long. And if you told me there was a Clefable on Christos' side, I wouldn't be surprised either. And just for, yeah, because this is looking to be a bit of a grinder, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Yeah, again, like T-Spike's here. T-Spike's probably telling me, like, Laurel has to keep this off, so it's probably telling me that maybe Laurel has some grounded Pokemon that are T-Spike's vulnerable. And probably tells me that, like, and yeah, there's the Clefable that I was talking about. Or possibly, and Rhyperior shows up Unfortunately, if the Milotic was not parried, then the Rhyperior might have been able to do something or a little more damage, but it has to switch out. And again, like, yeah, just toxic. Laurel just switching into Zapdos, trying to PP stall the Milotic. That's kind of his long-term game plan right now. If he he's got to stall out the Milotic however he can, like stall it out of Surf, stall it out of Toxics, if he's gonna try to win the game with Rhyperior. And Milotic recovering here again, like any PP that can be burnt right now is a great look for Laurel. And Ops is sub up here, and Laurel just trying to like maybe get a couple paras from Milotic, but nothing doing right now. Again, like, yeah, this is just a bit of a long-term switching loop for Laurel. Again, like, if he wants the Rhyperior to win, he's gotta run out the Milotic's PP, like burn any toxic PP he can burn up any Surf PP that he can burn out the way. So yeah, Laurel's switching into Zapdos like for this specific purpose, to try and drain as much Surf PP as possible. And the Neo Queen, yeah, again, like T-Spikes, but I think like long term, every time Laurel uses Spin, it's like Stealth Rocks plus T-Spikes combined, like that's gonna add up. So I think for Laurel, he might want to look to maybe keep the Zapdos in on the Needle Queen a handful of times here or there. Yeah, Christos also aware of that, so Christos realizing that he can't just throw out the T-Spikes willy-nilly. And again, like we're like almost like 58 turns in. Clefable revealing Ice Beam, which is not great for Laurel, unfortunately, because that means that the Rhyperior can't just like farm it. And to be honest, like the Clefable, if it's Ice Beam, that tells me that this is some kind of Bolt Beam Clefable from the looks of it. And there's the T-Tar, and not quite CB damage, but that looks like maybe it's like a mixed Tar, maybe it's Scarf Tar, but I would probably imagine it being Scarf Tar, because Laurel's current team composition looks really Gengar weak. And Christos, I expect to maybe have like a Latias in the back, like just because like you don't want to be two Spikes vulnerable. Like, yeah, sure, you have the Clefable, but you also have the Needle Queen and the Milotic. And oh, that's a really unfortunate. That's quite unfortunate for Laurel there, like having the Rhyperior frozen. Not what he wants to see, but I don't think Laurel could really have risked that, if I'm being frank here. And he still had a Jirachi in the back too, so I don't think that was the play. And yeah, so Milotic full para, the sand is up, so that means Zapdos' longevity is put into question even more. And there's the Latias that we were talking about, and Laurel opts to crunch here. Usually the Latias on T-Tar interaction, bit of a 50-50 mind game there on whether to stay in or to switch out, but Christos probably had enough bulk on the Latias to eat a pursuit, especially if it was not CB Tar, which doesn't look to be the case. And the Zapdos here, look, oh okay, it is HP Grass Zapdos, so not HP Ice, probably the like Nail Swampert, bit of a rare thing to see normally, but yeah, Jirachi, okay, is just trying to Iron Head flinch, especially with the sand up, so maybe you try to neutralize the Milotic's recovery a little bit, but again, not an ideal spot for Laurel. Not too sure what Laurel's last is. Maybe it's like a Heatran in the back, maybe it's another breaker, not too sure. And Jirachi's back in. Yeah, like the Rhyperior is frozen, so now it's a bit of a last ditch effort for Laurel to try to wear down the Milotic. And yeah, checking in on this is at 13 Surf PP. and should be 11 now. So every time the Zapdos is toxic, so can't stay in forever, and that crit has gotta suck. Probably was just looking to milk out any PP from the Milotic, and it is at 9 Surf PP, so if he had lived one more time, then I think he could have milked it down to like 8 or 7, give or take. I am not doing this counting thing too well. And this game is, again, like, I'm not too sure what Laurel's last here is. And the Milotic surfing up, and Laurel just trying to take advantage of the permanent sand to make the damage stick against the Milotic, but I don't think this is sustainable because Laurel doesn't have a whole lot of Iron Head PP left. Or at least not as many as he would like, because you still probably need it to flinch down to Clef. You probably still need, like, whatever PP you can get for that Needle Queen too. And he's just flinching, getting a couple more flinches here. And we're 100 turns in. And the Milotic recovers again, so that's gotta be frustrating for Laurel to see. But Laurel was at least able to get a lot of health back on the Jirachi, which is always nice. And here, yeah, so Surf again, like only 12%. Yeah, and I think like Laurel really wishes he had like maybe Thunderbolt or something else here, but Mono Starmie is usually pretty standard on these Zap Me kind of builds, like these para spam centric teams. And the Jirachi at 39%, Milotic at 71%, and Christos' last is a Magnezone. That I would not have expected that, and it's a Scarf Magnezone for that matter too. And Laurel just desperately attempting to try and unfall his Rhyperior, but nothing doing, and a Heracross turns out to be Laurel's last here. Unfortunately, there's a Needle Queen there, but if he has Earthquake or something, but I highly doubt he does, then maybe he could get something out of it. Unfortunately, it is Flamethrower, and burns, activates Guts, but however, the issue now is that the Heracross has no longevity as a result of the burn. And T-Spikes are up, so Laurel down to 3 Mons, and things have taken a real sour turn for Laurel, unfortunately. The Rhyperior being frozen, but to be frank, I don't think he needed to risk that, and Laurel probably kicking himself thinking, why did he risk that, especially seeing the situation that he's in now. And the T-Bolt bounces off the Tyranitar, and Tyranitar crunches, takes out the Bronzong, but it is basically too little too late, and it's Flash Cannon too, so he's got to take a lot of damage, indicating no superpower on Laurel's end. And Laurel again like brings out the frozen Rhyperior, last ditch effort to maybe try to get himself out of this sticky situation. And Crunch only does 74, so but for Christos, any chip damage he can get is good because that damage is going to be permanent. And the Milotic should shrug this off, yep, barring a critical hit. And absolute last ditch effort, it is frozen, nothing doing, no full para. And Christos is able to walk home with a win in his SPL debut. That was a game for sure. It was a grind fest. Christos bringing out a very bulky, stally team with a Scarf Magnezone in the back. This looks like some kind of Osgood build from like the olden days, but it's a build that got the job done. Whereas Laurel was trying to bring kind of a Paraspam team with 2 Paralysis Abusers in Heracross and Rhyperior. Heracross presumably trying to capitalize on the Machamp ban to bring the Heracross into this matchup. But that being said though, if you guys like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.